Okay, so our next reading is capital budgeting. First question. A firm is evaluating two mutually exclusive projects. Mutually exclusive projects means if you have to select X or Y, it's either X or Y, not both simultaneously. So mutually exclusive means just one of these projects can be selected. So a firm is evaluating two mutually exclusive projects of the same risk class, Project X and Project Y. Both have the same initial cash outlay, initial investment is the same for both, and both have positive net present values. Which of the following is a sufficient reason to choose Project X over Project Y? Now the question says that both have positive NPVs, but it doesn't mean that NPVs are equal. Which NPV is higher, which is lower, not given. So which of the following is sufficient reason to choose Project X over Project Y? Project X has a shorter payback period and a shorter discounted payback period compared to Project Y. If we have to select project, we have various tools: NPV, payback, discounted payback, profitability index. We base our decision on NPV or profitability index because profitability index itself is driven from NPV. So payback and discounted payback and IRR even, they are not considered as sophisticated as NPV and profitability index. We'll base our conclusion or our selection on NPV. So I won't go for this. Project Y has a lower internal rate of return than X. I won't select my project based upon IRR when NPV is available. When profitability index is available, my decision would be based either upon NPV or PI or both. So Project Y has a lower profitability index than Project X. This is the reason why I would select Project X. So that makes B to be the correct option, and B it is. Next, Fisher Incorporated is evaluating the benefits of investing in a new industrial printer. The printer will cost $28,000 and increase after-tax cash flows by $7,000 during each of the next 4 years and $6,000 in each of the 2 years after that. The internal rate of return of the printer project is closest to what? Now, first of all, let me lay down the working, how you will put it in your financial calculator. First of all, you need to write down your cash flows at year 0, negative 28,000. You will enter, I'll show you the whole working, and press the down arrow key. Then you enter the second year's cash flow, enter the down arrow key. How many cash flows do we have for $7,000? 4 years. So frequency of $7,000 is 4 years. So we write 4, we enter, press the down arrow key. Then we have $6,000 cash flow coming after 7,000 the next 2 years. We'll press enter, down arrow key, and the frequency of 6,000 is 2. We press enter again and down arrow key. Once all the data is entered in your financial calculator, you will press IRR key followed by compute. Let me show you how it works. Alright, so this is your financial calculator, fully functional. First you will enter or press CF sign. Then you will enter 28,000. That is 2. It will take time, but you'll have to make sure you understand the concept. 28, 28, 0, 0, 0. And don't forget to put the negative sign because it's an outflow at the year 0. Right? After this, you need to press enter and the down arrow key, just in the same sequence I've written. Then next, cash flow in year 1 is $7,000. Enter 7, 0, 0, 0. Press enter in the same sequence. Press down arrow key. Now, since there are 4 cash flows of $7,000 for the next 4 years, so you will have to press 4, enter, down arrow key, done. Now the cash flow for the next after that, 7,000 is done. Now 6,000, 6,000, enter, down arrow key. Now what's the frequency of the second cash flow? 2. Press 2, press enter, press the down arrow key. You're done. Now you simply press the IRR and press compute. 11.61. So that makes A to be the correct option. So 11.6 is your answer, and that's the option A. Next, a company is considering the purchase of a copier that cost $5,000. Assume a cost of capital 10% and the following cash flow schedule. We have a cash flow at the end of year 1, $3,000. Cash flow at the end of year 2, $2,000. Cash flow at the end of year 3, $2,000. First, you need to lay down how you will enter the data. Once you become expert, you'll just simply, you don't even look at the calculator. You simply enter the numbers and tuck, 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 you get your result. But since you are just beginning, so you have to be a little slow, and then you go accordingly. Cash flow at year 0 is an outflow, $5,000. You press the enter sign, down arrow key. This is the cash flow at the year 0. That is the initial investment. Then the next cash flow will come for the year 1. At the end of year 1, that is 3,000. You will enter 3,000. Press the enter sign, the down arrow key. Since 3,000 has just single frequency, it's just once. So you will simply enter this down arrow key again. That's important. Then the system will take you to the next cash flow after that, the cash flow in year 2. You will enter 2,000. You will enter this, press this sign, press the down arrow key. The system will ask you how many 2,000s do we have. In year 2 and 3, you can either write 2 or you can simply enter and take this 2,000 cash flow at the end of year 3 as well. You can either write here 2, enter and down arrow key, or you can just take this 2,000 as the third year cash flow. It will work both ways. So once it's entered all the data, you will simply press NPV sign. You will be asked to write the interest rate, the discount rate that will be used to evaluate the projects. I think it's given here 10%. You will enter 10, press the enter sign, press the down arrow key, and you will simply press CPT. It will calculate the NPV for you. Since we are required to find the IRR as well, since all the data has been entered in the tables in your calculator, you will simply press IRR and press CPT. So let us do it. First, you need to clear the table first, CF second, that's clear work. Now the system is back to 0. You need to press CF, this is already pressed. You need to write 5,000, 5,000. Since it's an initial outflow, you need to press the negative sign. Press the enter sign, enter key, press the down arrow key. Now this is entered. You're in the next line now. Next cash flow in the next second year is 3,000. 3,000. Enter. Down arrow key. How many 3,000 do we have? What's the frequency? 1 only. Simply press the down arrow key again. Cash flow for the second year. 2,000. Enter. Down arrow key. How many 2,000 do we have? 2. We can write 2. We can enter 2. Then we don't need to enter the third year cash flow. But let's say take it at a single cash flow at the end of year 2. Enter the down arrow key again. Now you need to put the third year cash flow, that is 2,000 again. 2,000. Enter. First arrow. What's the frequency? Just 1. Press this down arrow key again. All these cash flows have been entered. Press the NPV button. Now you need to enter the interest rate, the discount rate that's used in NPV computations. 10. Enter. Down arrow key. and press the CPT sign. Here we go. You got your NPV, that is approximately $883, and that surely makes either A or B to be the correct option. Let us calculate the IRR. You simply need to press the IRR button. IRR CPT, that's 20.64. That makes A to be the correct option, and A it is. Question number 4. Rosali Wojcik is an executive with Cola Company, a nationally known beverage company. She is trying to determine the firm's optimal capital budget. First, she is analyzing Project Sparkle and Fizz, 2 projects. She has determined that both Sparkle and Fizz are profitable and is planning on having Cola Company accept both projects. Means both are independent. If both can be selected, it means they are independent. If either of them is selected, that means they are mutually exclusive. So they are both independent. She is particularly excited about Sparkle. Why? Because if Sparkle is profitable over the next year, Cola Company will have the opportunity to decide whether or not to invest in a third project, Bubble. Which of the following term best describes the type of projects, whether mutually exclusive or independent, represented by Sparkle and Fizz, as well as the opportunity to invest in Bubble? First of all, they are independent projects. That rules out option C. Since Sparkle is a project whose success will determine whether we will invest in the next venture, Bubble, or not. Right? So it means it's a project sequencing. Once our first project, Sparkle, proves to be profitable, then we will make up an additional investment or will take on the next project, Bubble. So in fact, Bubble is a result of project sequencing, which means that investing in the project Sparkle today creates an opportunity to decide to invest in the related project in the future. So it's A, and of course the second part A as well. So it means project sequencing and independent projects. That makes A to be the correct option. Next, the greatest amount of detailed capital budgeting analysis is typically required when deciding whether to, first of all, detailed capital budgeting is needed when huge capital funding is needed and project has an element of risk and uncertainty. So which of these are riskier? Introducing new product may run well or may not. Develop a new market, it means entering in a new market, developing a new product, it will always involve risk. Expanding production capacity in your existing product, it is less risky. Replacing a functioning machinery with a newer model to reduce costs, it is less risky. But new product and a new market, I'm sure you people remember Ansoff matrix. So new product and a new market, it is a double risk, a double jeopardy. Both are new product or new market, it would offer the higher risk. So whenever a new product or entering a new market, there's so much uncertainty. Sales and expenses could be quite different from what was originally planned. So there could be projection error as well. So since there is high uncertainty, so we need detailed capital budgeting analysis for A. But since B and C involve less risk because we are already producing a particular product, so expanding the capacity doesn't involve that much risk. Or replacing an old machine with a new one, again it doesn't involve as much risk as we have in option A. So that's why A is the right answer. Next, which of the following steps is least likely, mind the word least likely, to be an administrative step in the capital budgeting process? There are 4 suggested steps. First, idea generation. Where do we need to invest? Second, analysis of the various proposals A, B, C, D. Which of these do we need to select? Analysis. Third, creating capital budget for, we need money. Creating the firm-wide capital budget. And finally, monitoring. This is crucial to see whether the investment made is delivering as expected, and finally when the project is over we conduct post-audit review or the post-audit. So which of the following steps is least likely to be an administrative step in the capital budgeting process? Idea generation, forecasting cash flows and analyzing project profitability, it's right here. Conducting a post-audit to identify errors in the forecasting process, monitoring. Arranging financing for capital budgets, where the money would come from. Of course, that's not one of the administrative steps in capital budgeting process, and that's the reason it's your answer. C. Again, a computational question. Which of the following statements about the internal rate of return for a project with the following cash flow pattern is correct? What you will do again, there is a cash outflow to your 0, negative 2000. You enter in the calculator, press the down arrow key. The next year cash flow is $10,000. You enter the sign, then the down arrow key. Since it's a single cash flow, single frequency, you simply press the down arrow key again. Negative 10,000. Enter, down arrow, frequency is 1. You press this down arrow key again, and you simply press the IRR followed by CPT. That's all. Let's do it. So the initial outflow is $2,000. That is 2,000, negative, enter, down arrow key. Now it's in the system. Next, cash flow year 1, 10,000, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. Enter, down arrow key twice because a single cash flow, frequency is 1, done. Next we have the second year cash flow, negative 10,000. You write 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. You press the negative sign indicating it's an outflow at the end of year 2. You press enter. Since it's a single cash flow, you press the down arrow key twice. All done. Now you press IRR and simply press CPT. 38.19. Do not jump wildly and select option B. Why? Yes, IRR is 38, but remember, whenever a project has unconventional cash flows, what is conventional cash flow? Outflow in year 0, inflow in the later periods. That's the conventional cash flow of projects. Unconventional cash flow means cash flows positive in some year, negative in the other years. Just like in this, 2,000 is the initial investment, 10,000 is the cash flow positive at the end of year 1, and then 10,000 negative at the end of year 2. Means it's an unconventional project with unconventional cash flows. So it won't have a single IRR. It will have two IRRs. Why? Because cash flows change direction twice in the project. So it will have two IRRs. One of them is 38, which your calculator has calculated. The other is 260. So that makes A to be the correct option. And A it is. Next, which of the following statements regarding the net present value and internal rate of return is least accurate? Mind the word, this is called question twister. It twists the questions totally upside down. For independent projects, which can be taken simultaneously, the internal rate of return and NPV methods always yield the same accept reject decision. This is true. For independent projects, IRR and NPV, they give the same accept reject decisions. B. The NPV tells how much the value of the firm will increase if you accept the project. If NPV is positive, say $13,000. If you take on this project, this is the increase in the value of the firm. It's a true statement. T. For mutually exclusive projects, you must accept the project with the highest NPV regardless of the sign of NPV. Wrong. Sign of NPV matters. We select those projects which have positive NPVs, or if NPV is equal to 0, in that case the project is generating our desired rate of return. So that is not true. C is least accurate, and that's the reason it is your answer. Again, a theoretical question. Ashline Lutz makes the following statement to her supervisor, Paul Olring, regarding the basic principles of capital budgeting. Statement 1. The timing of expected cash flows is crucial for determining the profitability of a capital budgeting project. Yes, the earlier the cash flows are received, the better. And the farther the cash flow is from the starting point, the present value would be lower. So the timing is crucial. This is a correct statement. It's a correct statement. Statement 2. The capital budgeting decisions should be based on the after-tax net income. No, not net income. After-tax cash flows. This is the reason why the statement 2 is not correct. We can say now the statement 1 is correct and 2 is incorrect, so that makes C to be your correct option. Here we go. The two projects being considered by a firm are mutually exclusive and have the following projected cash flows. Project 1 requires an initial investment of -4 in million or thousand, whatever. It's just -$4, and you will receive $1 at the end of year, $3 at the end of year 1, $5 and 2 year at the end of year 2 and 3 respectively. For the second project, we have not been given the initial outflow, but we do have inflows in year 1, 2 and 3. The crossover rate of the project's NPV profile is 9%. Crossover rate is the rate at which the NPV of the both project is the same. This is the rate, whatever it is, 7.8. This is extracted from CMA Part 2, Section E, Investment Decisions. This is the rate at which the NPV for both projects is the same. So this rate, the rate at which the NPV for the two projects is the same, is called the crossover rate. That is 9%. Now, the interesting question, and I would say a challenging one as well, requires more working. What is the initial cash flow for the project 2? We need to find the initial cash flow. So what we will do, first we'll find the NPV of project 1, because at 9% NPV of both the project is the same. So what we will do are starting the same working, cash flow to year 0, we'll enter -4, enter down arrow key. Next year cash flow +3, enter down arrow key twice, because 3 is just once, frequency is 1. So you'll simply enter the down arrow key, system will take 1 as default. $5 inflow at the end of year 2, enter double arrow, means it's just once, frequency is 1. And lastly, in year 3, cash flow is +2, enter double arrow key, and finally in order to calculate the NPV, you will press NPV. The discount rate is 9%, you enter 9, enter sign, down arrow key, and then simply press CPT. Now let us write it down, all this in the financial calculator, and see what is the NPV. So cash flow at year 0 is 4 negative, enter down arrow key. Cash flow for year 1 is 3, enter, and down arrow key twice, because it's a single cash flow, down. Cash flow for year 2, 5, enter, down arrow key twice, because it's a single cash flow, down arrow key once, twice. Cash flow for year 3 is 2, enter, down arrow key once, down arrow key 2. Press NPV. You need to give the rate. The crossover rate is 9%. Enter 9. Enter it in the sheet. Down arrow key and press CPT. MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah. It's 4505. It is 4505. 4.05, because it's a point, all the numbers are less than 10. So it's 4.5051. This is the NPV of your project 1. What to do now? Since it said that it's a crossover rate, at this rate, the NPV of the project 1 and NPV of the project 2, they will both be same, and this is the NPV. Since we do not have the initial investment, let us assume this to be a zero sum. Let's now put the working cash flow at year 0. We do not have any number for the initial investment. Put 0. Enter. Down arrow key. Next year cash flow is 1.7. 1.7. Enter. Down arrow key once. Since it's a single cash flow, down arrow key again. 3.2. Enter. Down arrow key again. And last 5.8. Down arrow key, enter, down arrow key, down arrow key. Since we already have the discount rate, simply press NPV, 9% crossover rate, enter, down arrow key and CPT. It will give you the NPV, assuming there is no initial investment in the project. Alright, so cash flow for year 0 is 0, assuming it's 0. 0, enter, down arrow key. Cash flow for year 1, 1.7, 1.7. Enter, down arrow key twice because it's just a single cash flow. Then 3.2, 3.2, enter, down arrow key twice because a single cash flow. Then 5.8, 5.8, enter. Since it's a single cash flow, down arrow key twice, all entered. NPV, you need to provide the crossover rate given, 9, enter, down arrow key for the next line, and CPT. It's 8.7317. 8.7317. 8.7317. Now this is interesting. We just said that as per the NPV profile, both these projects should have the same NPV. Since we haven't been given the initial investment, we have just taken the present value of inflows for this project. No initial investment, assuming 0 initial investment. Now the point is, this is the NPV of project 1. The same NPV is for this project. We will calculate our initial investment for project 2 this way, writing down this formula. NPV for project 2 is 8.73 plus the initial investment made at the start of the project. Since NPV has to be 4.545 because it said that at 9% the crossover rate, both these projects have the same NPV, because at the crossover rate, 2 projects that are being analyzed, they will have the same NPV. So putting NPV at NPV2, that is 4.5051 is equal to 8.73 plus CFO. You make CFO the subject of the equation and you will get your result. Where is my conventional calculator? So it's 4.5051 less 8.73. It gives you negative 4.2249. So that's the initial investment negative sign for project 2, and that matches with option C, and C it is. Next, Garner Corporation is investing 30 million in the new capital equipment. The present value of future after-tax cash flows generated by the equipment is estimated to be 50 million. This is the present value of inflow, PVI. And this is your initial investment. Either you can write it as I, or it could be just present value of outflow. This is the single outflow at the start of the project. Okay. Currently, Garner has a stock price of $28 per share with 8 million shares outstanding. Assuming that this project represents new information and is independent of other expectations about the company, what should the effect of the project be on the stock price? First of all, we need to calculate the NPV. NPV is the present value of inflows less initial investment or the present value of outflows. Present value of inflows is expected to be 50, outflows right now 30 million, so it means the total net present value is 20 million. This 20 million will increase the worth of the firm. If split on per share basis, which are 8 million, this project is expected to raise the share price by $2.5. If the current share price is 28, and if this project is taken on, this project will increase the firm share price by 2.5. Thereby, the new share price expected is going to be 28 plus 2.5, 30.5. That makes A to be the correct option. The value of the firm is the present value of future cash flows that are expected to be generated under the dividend discount model. So if the earnings are expected to go up, some projects will generate positive NPV. This positive NPV will increase the worth of the firm. So that makes A to be the correct option. Moving on, again, we don't need any computation in this question. As it just said, you need to find out the project that is unconventional, that will have multiple IRR. Which of the following projects would have multiple internal rates of returns? The cost of capital for all the project is 9.75. It's a conventional project, initial outflow, then inflows later. Initial outflow, inflows later. This is the unconventional one. You have the outflow in year 0 right now, then you have inflows at the end of year 1, at the end of year 2, and you have an outflow at the end of year 3. Such projects in which the cash flow takes swings, positive to negative, negative to positive. As many swings as we have in the question in the data, you will have as many IRR. If the project has 2 swings of cash flows from negative to positive, it will have 2 IRR. If a project has 5 swings of cash from positive to negative, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it will have 5 IRRs. So, which of the project will have multiple IRR? The one that has unconventional cash flow, the cash flow swinging from positive to negative. So that makes Blackjack to be the only project with multiple IRRs. That is your answer. Next, Lincoln Coal is planning a new coal mine which will cost $430,000 to build, with the expenditure occurring next year. So this is not your year 0 outflow. This is not what you're spending right now. This will be spent at the end of year 1 or next year. The mine will bring cash inflows of $200,000 annually over the subsequent 7 years. It will then cost $170,000 to close down the mine over the following year. Assume all cash flows occur at the end of the year, which is the normal case in almost every NPV IRR question. Alternatively, Lincoln Coal may choose to sell the site today. If he doesn't develop the mine, he can sell it today. What minimum price should Lincoln set on the property given a 16% required rate of return? If you can just calculate the NPV of the mine, that would represent the minimum price that we should accept for the sale of this mine. Let us first write down the information that we need to put in our calculator. First, there is no cash flow at year 0. Enter, press down arrow key. Then there is $430,000 outflow occurring at the end of year 1. Then $200,000 inflow, enter. And there are 7 such payments, 7 years. So you'll write 7, enter, down arrow key. Then there is another outflow at the end of year 8, 170. Enter, down arrow key. Since it's a single payment, press the enter key, the down arrow key again. Press NPV. The system will ask you to enter the discount rate, which has been given as 16%. You'll enter 16%. Enter, press the down arrow key, and simply press CPT. You will get your NPV. Let me do this calculation right in front of you. Here we go. So cash flow at year 0, CF, it's 0. You press enter, down arrow key, then 430,000. Don't forget to put negative. This is the outflow at the end of year 1. Enter, down arrow key twice because it's a single cash flow. Then 200,000 inflow for the next 7 years. Enter, down arrow key. Since there are 7 such inflows, you will press the frequency of cash flows as 7. Press enter, down arrow key. Then there is an outflow of $170,000. This one. You write 170000 negative. Enter. Down arrow key once. Again down arrow key means it's a single payment. Now you press NPV. The system will ask you to put the discount rate, that is 16%. 16, enter, down arrow key. You just simply press CPT. Now you got your NPV, that is, as you can see, 280,912, approximately 280,913. So that makes B to be the correct option. B it is. Next, a firm is reviewing an investment opportunity that requires a cash outlay of $336,875 and promises to return the following irregular payments: $100,000 at the end of year 1, $82,000 in year 2, year 3, year 4, and year 5. So these are irregular cash flows occurring in the next 5 years. What do we need? If the required rate of return for the firm is 8%, that is the discount rate, what is the net present value of the investment? You will need to use your financial calculator, and of course that's what we're going to do. Since we have just used this calculator, you need to clear the registers, the field where the data has been entered. What you will do, you write CF second clear. Your IRR should show 0, NPV should show 0. For this you need to press second and CE/E, that will clear all the work. So your IRR should show 0, your NPV should show 0, your CF will and should show 0. Now your calculator is again reset to solve the next question. Now let us first write down the data and then accordingly we'll input in the calculator to get a result in a single go. Otherwise calculating NPV using conventional calculator and the time value table is quite time consuming and quite hectic, and of course many students make many mistakes. Right, so your cash flow at year 0 is negative 336,875. You enter this with the negative sign, you press the enter key and then the down arrow key. This is done. Then the next year cash flow is positive 100,000. Enter. Since it's a single cash flow, single frequency, you will press the down arrow key twice. Done. Then you have $82,000. You'll press the enter sign. Since again it's a single cash flow, single frequency, you will press the down arrow key twice. Then you have $76,000. Press the enter key and then the down arrow key twice because it's a single cash flow. Then we have 1,000. Enter, down arrow key twice, and then finally 142,000. Enter, down arrow key twice. Once all the data is entered, you will need to press the NPV button key. The system will ask you to enter the discount rate, which in most of the cases would always be given to you. You write 8, press enter, down arrow key. Now all the data has been entered. You just need to press the CPT key and you will get your result. Let us see how it works. Cash flow at year 0, 336,875. Don't forget it's a negative. That's an outflow at year 0. You press enter, down arrow key. Then you have 100,000. It's an inflow in year 1. Enter. Since it's a single cash flow, you will enter, down arrow key twice. Then 82,000. Enter, down arrow key twice. Then 76,000. Enter, down arrow key twice. Then we have 111,000. You press enter, down arrow key twice, and then you have 142,000. Enter, down arrow key twice. We need to find NPV, so you'll press the NPV key. The system will ask you to enter the discount rate, that is 8. Press enter, the down arrow key. Now simply press the CPT button and it will give you your NPV straight away, that is 64,582. That makes A to be the correct option. It's as simple as that. So once you know how to use the calculator, you don't need to write it down the way I have. You can simply input the data and you can get the result immediately. A is the right answer. Next, which of the following statement about the payback period is not correct? Let us analyze every option one by one. The payback period provides a rough measure of project liquidity and risk. Yes, longer the project, the riskier it is. Shorter the period, the more liquid it is. Right? So liquidity and risk can be measured through the payback period. If payback period is longer, the risk is high, the liquidity is low. But if the payback period is shorter, risk is low, and liquidity of the project is high. The project will pay itself off quickly. This is a correct statement. The payback method considers all cash flows throughout the entire life of the project. This is wrong. Payback period only considers the cash flows till the cutoff date, not the subsequent cash flows. This statement is incorrect. Last, the payback period is the number of years it takes to recover the original cost of investment. It's 100% correct, and that's why B is the one only that was incorrect. We needed to find the statement that was wrong. So that makes B to be the correct option. Next, if a project has a negative cash flow during its life or at the end of its life, the project most likely has what? More than one internal rate of return. Remember, whenever a project is unconventional, let me show you an unconventional project where the cash flow changes direction. Let me show you. Which of the following projects would have multiple internal rate of returns? The project that has unconventional cash flow at year 0, inflow, outflow. Rest of them are conventional, outflow at year 0, and then all the inflows later. So these are your conventional cash flows. This is the one that is unconventional. So it will have multiple IRR, and that's why for this, the correct option was B. That's what you say for the projects that are unconventional. It will have multiple IRRs. So as you've just seen, if a project has negative cash flow during its life or at the end of its life, the project most likely has more than one internal rate of return. It's a correct statement. We've just seen in a question. A negative internal rate of return, negative IRR is not possible. So percentage has to be positive. Multiple net present values, wrong. For a specific discount rate, whatever the discount rate is, for a specific discount rate, there is one and only one NPV. It's only when we change the discount rate, the NPV changes. So this is of course incorrect. So that makes A to be your correct option. Next, Lane Industry has the project with the following cash flows. Cash outflow to year 0, then these are the inflows. If you need to calculate the payback, that is quite simple. You write negative 200,000 in your calculator and then add up these cash flows, and wherever the cash becomes positive, that's the payback period. Now, but in this question, the project cost of capital is 12%. The discounted payback period is required. For that, you need to convert all these future cash flows in their present terms using the discount factors at the rate of 12%. Let me write it down for you. All right, so the year 0 outflow will have a present value of negative $200,000. This $60,000 receivable at the end of year 1, if discounted at 12%, it will be approximately $53,571. This $80,000 receivable at the end of year 2, its present value discounted at 12% would be $63,776. This one would be $49,825. This one would be, I'm sure it's quite simple calculation, you can do it, $131. And lastly, this $50,000 coming at the end of year 5, right now its present value is $28,371.3. Now what you will do, using simple your conventional calculator, you will write negative 200,000 in your calculator and keep on adding these numbers. So you will write negative 200,000 on your calculator, simple conventional calculator or this financial one as well, plus 53,571, I'm still negative, plus 63,776, still negative 82, plus 49,825, still negative 32,828. Now this negative 3282 would be recovered from the 4th year cash flow, 38,131. So definitely 3 years are there. 3-year payback period is there. What is the fractional part? The fractional part can be calculated by dividing 32,828, the cash flow we need from the 4th year cash flow, 32,828 divided by 38,131. 38,131. It's approximately 0.86, which is rounded off to 3.9, and that's the reason C is your answer, 3.9. This is a simple way to calculate your discounted payback. Next, financing cost for a capital project. Financing cost means the funding which we need for the capital projects, the bonds issued, the shares issued, preferred stock, common stock, or any other form of funding. What do we do with the financing cost? Interest, cost of equity, subtracted from the net present value of the project? No. We haven't done any, won't do any such question. In fact, what we do with the financing cost? Financing cost, cost of capital, various sources of finance we use, this is already embedded in your cost of capital. When we use discounting, when we do discounting of the cash flows, this discounting includes the impact of financing cost. It is captured in the project's required rate of return. When we select a certain rate, 12%, this 12% incorporates the financing cost of different sources of finance. So we don't need separate treatment. Like we pay interest for a loan that we bought for the project, we took for the project. Interest payments are made, it's a cash outflow, but it is not considered in the project. Why? Because the interest rate in percentage is already included in the required rate of return. So interest payments, dividend payments, the cost of funds, they are not considered separately. They are already captured, they are already embedded within the project's required rate of return. So they are not subtracted from anything. It's just that they are a part of your discount rate. That's, we don't need any specific computation for them. So that makes C to be the correct option. Next, again, I guess a computational question, but doesn't require much. Tapley Acquisitions Incorporated is considering the purchase of Tangent Company. The acquisition would require an initial investment of 190. That's your initial investment at P0. P0 at T0. But Tapley's after-tax net cash flows would increase by $30,000 per year and remain at this level forever. Remain at this level forever. It's a perpetuity. It's a perpetuity. So how do we find the present value of inflows of perpetuity? It's the annual amount or periodic amount we receive divided by the interest rate. So what we are receiving every year, $30,000. What is the rate given? 15%. So dividing 30,000, 15%, you will get $200,000. This $200,000 is the present value of inflow. What do we need basically? We need to find the NPV. Assume cost of capital 15%. Should Tapley buy the Tangent? That's the decision we need to make on the basis of NPV. NPV is the present value of inflows minus present value of outflows. Inflows are $200,000. Outflows, which you need to invest now, $190,000. Since it is positive, NPV is positive by $10,000, yes, he should. Yes, because the NPV is positive $10,000, so that makes C to be the correct option. C it is. Next, the effects of the acceptance of a project may have on other firms' cash flows are best described as what? If you take on a project A, this project will affect the cash flows on other projects, B or C or D. What is it called? Pure plays we'll discuss in our cost of capital tomorrow. It is how we find the rate of return to be used in the cost of capital. It's a detailed topic we'll discuss tomorrow. It's not something related to what we're doing right now. Opportunity cost is what we sacrifice. The cost of making a decision, and what you give up is called the cost, opportunity cost, and it is considered as a relevant cost for capital projects. What we are considering right now, effects of acceptance of a project may have on other firms' cash flows are best described as its externalities. If you select a certain project, it will have some external influences on other projects. This is termed as your externalities of the project for project B, C, or whatever other projects are in line. C. Which of the following statements regarding internal rate of return is most accurate? The IRR can lead to multiple IRR rates if the cash flows extend past a payback period. No. Multiple IRRs will only arise when the cash flows are unconventional, when the cash flow changes direction. So that's why A is not correct. Assumes that the reinvestment rate of the cash flows is the cost of capital. No. IRR assumes the reinvestment rate of cash flows is the rate IRR. Remember, reinvestment rate for IRR is the rate embedded in IRR, not the cost of capital. This is the assumption for discounting, for NPV. Wrong. The net present value method and IRR may lead to same accept reject decisions for independent projects. What are independent projects? Independent projects are those projects which can be taken simultaneously. I can take A and B and C together. These are called independent projects. What are mutually exclusive projects? Either I can take A or B, not both. This is called mutually exclusive. So please, one important point you must remember. For independent projects, NPV and IRR, they are on the same page. They give you the same accept and reject decisions. But when the projects are mutually exclusive, where you have to select one amongst the alternatives, in this case, NPV and IRR, they may conflict. One is pointing accept, other may say reject. We will see in the questions. So this is the correct option. This is the true statement, accurate statement, C. C is the right answer. Next. When using net present value profile, this is your net present value profile extracted from your CMA Part 2, Section E, Investment Decisions. Net present value profile intersection with the vertical axis, y-axis. Let us just first see it closely. This is your NPV profile. What do we have on the x-axis? Different discount rates. What we have on the y-axis? Positive NPV on the upside, negative here. If the discount rate is 0, which is very unlikely. So NPV for project A is 40, for NPV for project L is 60. As we keep on increasing the discount rate, NPV falls. You know that when discount rate is increased, NPV falls. NPV keeps on falling. As we keep on increasing, a rate will come at which NPV becomes 0. The rate at which the NPV becomes 0 is called the IRR. This is the IRR for project L, and this is the IRR for the project K, right? So remember, NPV profile shows you how the NPV changes as the discount rate is varied. So on x-axis we have NPV, on y-axis or horizontal axis we take the different discount rates, right? This is called NPV profile. Now, the question says, when using net present value profile, the NPV profile intersection with the vertical y-axis identifies the project's internal rate of return. No, this is not the internal rate of return. Internal rate of return is a point where the curves cut the x-axis. This is wrong. In fact, at this point we have the NPVs given at if the discount rate is 0. Wrong. One should accept all mutually exclusive projects. No, when the projects are mutually exclusive, it's either A or B, not all. Wrong. One should accept all the independent projects with positive NPVs. Yes, if your projects are independent and all of them are giving positive NPV, take them all. If independent projects are giving you all positive NPV, you should select them all. If you have the money available, if you're facing any capital rationing, then there will be some other concerns to consider. So that makes C to be the correct option. Independent projects with positive NPVs, they should all be selected if the cash is available. Next, if the calculated net present value is negative, which of the following must be correct? Instead of just going to the question, let me just first give you an idea. If your internal rate of return, the project rate, is greater than the discount rate, your NPV would be positive. If your internal rate of return is less than the discount rate used in the computations, NPV would be negative. And if your internal rate of return is exactly equal to discount rate, at that rate, NPV is 0. And that's why we say that at IRR, the net present value is 0. The present value of inflows and outflows are the same. Now we can solve the question. It says the discount rate, what is the situation if the calculated net present value is negative? This one. Which of the following must be correct? The discount rate used is greater than the internal rate of return. The discount rate used is greater than the internal rate of return. That makes sense. The discount rate is less than the internal rate of return. If the discount rate is less than the internal rate of return, you will have a positive NPV. You should have a positive NPV. That is wrong. Equal to the internal rate of return. If the discount rate and internal rate of return were equal, NPV would be 0, not negative. So that makes A to be the correct option. Okay, next. Langdon Incorporated uses several methods to evaluate capital projects. An appropriate decision rule for Langdon would be to invest in projects if it has a positive what? Positive net present value? Yes. Positive profitability index. It is also based upon NPV because profitability index is NPV upon initial investment. So it is based upon NPV, but comparatively it is used in project ranking. NPV is considered to be the most sophisticated or most appropriate method for project evaluation. So we go for NPV. If the project has a positive NPV, we should select the project. That makes A need to look no further. A is the right answer. Next. The process of evaluating and selecting profitable long-term investments consistent with the firm's goal of shareholders' wealth maximization. Maximizing the shareholder wealth. All this process for maximizing the shareholder wealth through the long-term investment, it's called what? Financial restructuring? No. Financial restructuring is a situation where a firm is in serious trouble. It is going to go bankrupt. So this is financial restructuring. Those who are CMA students, those who have done it, and I'm sure they would have read chapter 11 and chapter 7, reconstruction and reorganization and bankruptcy. These are the laws in the US. So this is what financial restructuring is. A business is in trouble and it needs to put itself in order. This is of course not capital budgeting. Monitoring. Monitoring is one of the aspects of capital budgeting. It is not itself capital budgeting. What we are looking for, profitable long-term investments to increase the shareholders' wealth. This is what you call capital budgeting. That makes B to be the correct option. Next. For a project with cash outflows during its life, the least preferred capital budgeting tool would be least preferable, least. Profitability index. It's based upon NPV. That's why it's desirable. Net present value is the best one. So A and C are acceptable, but internal rate of return, it is least preferred. Why? Because it's an unconventional cash flow where the cash changes its direction during the life of the project. So in that case, IRR is not recommended. You will end up in a situation called the multiple IRR dilemma. We'll have many IRRs and you won't know what to do. That is studied later on in a concept called MIR, modified internal rate of return, but that's not the agenda for today. So B is the right answer. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following one of the basic principles of capital budgeting? Let us first discuss what are the basic principles of capital budgeting. There are 5 key principles of capital budgeting. First, decisions are based upon the cash flows, not profit. Cash, not profit. Second principle of capital budgeting. Opportunity cost, if it is involved in a decision-making process, opportunity cost must not be ignored. It's a relevant cash flow to be considered. Opportunity costs are considered. Second. Third, timing of the cash flows is very crucial. $1 now is worth more than $1 1 year later. Timing is crucial in the cash flows. Fourth, all the cash flows must be taken after tax basis. And I'm sure you have done many questions. Cash flows must be taken after tax basis. And fifth principle, basic principle, we don't need to consider the interest payments or dividend payments in the capital projects. Why? Because they represent financing. Financing costs are not considered separately. Financing costs are embedded in your discount rate that you're using. Right? So that's what was important. So opportunity cost should be excluded. No, we have just seen opportunity cost should be considered. Decisions are based on cash flows, not accounting income. Yes, that is the first principle. Cash flows should be analyzed on pre-tax basis. No, cash flows must be analyzed on after-tax basis. So that makes only B to be the correct option. And B it is. Next. Again, some computational stuff. An analyst has gathered the following data about a company with 12% cost of capital, project P, project Q, and they are mutually exclusive. It means we can select just one out of them. Mutually exclusive projects. So what will be the decision criterion? Since we have been given the cost of capital, we have been given the initial cost, annual cash flows for 5 years. This is the annual cash flow for case of P and Q. So what you will do, you will have to enter it up in your financial calculator. How you do it? Let me show you. Cash flow at year 0, negative 15,000. This 5,000 coming at the end of every year. What you will do, let me just write it clearly so you know what to do for project P and project Q. Cash flow at year 0, negative 15,000. Enter, press down arrow key. Enter 5,000. Press enter key. Press down arrow key. Since this 5,000 has a frequency of 5, it is coming in next 5 years. So you will press 5, press enter, press down arrow key. All done. Press NPV. The system will ask you to enter the interest rate, the discount rate, that is 12% given. You will press enter key, press the down arrow key, press the CPT, you will get your result. Let's do it for the another one as well. Cash flow for year 0, negative 25,000. Enter, down arrow key, then you have 7,500 cash flow at the end of every year for the next 5 years. You press enter, down arrow key, 5, enter, again down arrow key, and then again you do the same thing, NPV, 12, enter, down arrow key, press CPT, and you'll get your NPVs for both projects. Let's do it. Let us first check our sheets. They have all zeros. Yes, fine. Let us enter the data for project P first. Project P has an initial outflow $15,000, 15,000, negative, enter, down arrow key, then 5,000, enter, down arrow key. This 5,000 is occurring 5 times. You enter 5, enter, down arrow key. Now you need to press NPV, interest rate or discount rate 12%, enter, down arrow key, CPT. Here we go. 3023. 3023.88 is positive NPV. System will tell you if it's positive. If it's negative, the sign would come with the number. Next part. Now you need to clear IRR. NPV must be clear. Second, clear work. CF, second, clear work. Now all reset. Now enter the cash flows of project Q. 25,000, negative, enter, down arrow key, 7,500, enter, down arrow key. Again, this is 5 times over the life of the project. Enter, down arrow key. Simply press the NPV key. You need to give the discount rate, that is 12%. Enter, down arrow key, and just press the CPT button. Now you have it 2035.82. 2035.82. So going solely on the NPV criterion, since it's a mutually exclusive project, we should select the one giving the higher NPV. So for that we go for P. Accept, take on project P, reject project Q. So that makes A to be the correct option. Same data, but this time the projects are independent. What should we do with the project P and Q? Since they are independent, this project is giving NPV of 3023 positive. This project is giving NPV of 2035 positive. Since both NPVs are positive and both projects are independent, take them on. Take both of them. You should take on both of these projects because they are giving positive net present value. So that makes A to be the correct option. Accept both projects P and Q. Next. An investment with the cost of $5,000 is expected to have a cash inflow of $3,000 in year 1, $4,000 in year 2, and that's all. You just need to find the internal rate of return. So how do you enter the data? In this case, cash flow to year 0 is $5,000. Enter, down arrow key, 3,000, just a single payment in year 1. Enter, down arrow key twice. It's a single payment, remember. And then 4,000, it's a single payment in the second year. You press IRR and press the CPT key, you will get your internal rate of return. Let's do it. All right, so let's first clear the tables which we have already done it. So let's just put the numbers now. $5,000, negative, enter, down arrow key, $3,000 single cash flow in year 1, Frequency is 1. Enter down arrow key twice. Then $4,000. Enter down arrow key twice. Press IRR. Press CPT. Here we go. 24.33. 24.33 means there is the closest number closest to 25%. That makes A to be the correct option. Next question. Question number 31. Which of the following statements about the discounted payback period is least accurate? Mind the word least accurate. The discounted payback frequently ignores terminal values. Discounted payback will ignore cash flows coming after year 7, 8 because our payback period is 4. Yes, that's the issue. Payback period and discounted payback period, they both suffer from the same limitation, that they ignore the cash flows that are terminal, or they come in the later years of the project's life. That's true. That's accurate. The discounted payback method can give conflicting results with NPV. That's true. Payback and NPV, they can give conflicting results. Why? Because NPV considers all the cash flows over the life of the project. Payback considers just 3 or 4 years cash flow. So maybe one project acceptable with NPV criteria, but not acceptable with the discounted payback. Yes, that's accurate as well. The last one. See, if a project has a conventional payback of 4 years, discounting the future cash flows and then calculating the discounted payback is always more than the payback period. The discounted payback maybe will be 5 years or 5.3 years. Why? Because discounting cash will reduce the present value of cash flow, so the payback period will become longer. So the discounted payback period is generally shorter. This is wrong. Discounted payback period is longer than the regular payback period. This is the wrong statement, the least accurate statement. That's why it's the right answer, C. All right, moving on to the next question. The CFO of Axis Manufacturing is evaluating the introduction of a new product. The cost of a recently completed marketing study for the new product and the possible increase in the sales of a related product made by Axis are best described respectively as what? You need to read the question again. CFO Axis Manufacturing is evaluating the introduction of a new product. Okay. The cost of a recently completed marketing study. This is the cost that has already been spent on a marketing study. For the project evaluation, this is considered as a sunk cost. The cost that has already been paid is a sunk cost. And the possible increase in the sales of related products. You take on a product A, how its sale will affect project C, D, and B. We just discussed in the previous question, it's called externality. So that makes C to be the correct option. Next, the effect of company's announcement that they have begun a project with the current cost of 10 million, that's your initial outflow, $10 million. That will generate future cash flows with the present value of 20 million. This is the present value of future inflows, $20 million. Now this information, this announcement is most likely to do what? It will increase the value of the firm common share by $10 million. Apparently it's a correct statement. That's what happens. But only when this information was not known to the market. Only affect the value of the firm if the project was unexpected. Because if the project was expected, NPV was already computed by the stock market analysts, the share price would already go up. But if it is unexpected and then it is suddenly announced, then it will happen, the value of the firm's stock will go up by 10 million. If it is unexpected, then the market will react. The share price will go up. But if the market has already considered the NPV, the market has already discounted the future cash flows, they will not be changed in the value of the share. That's a very important. Normally, most of the students will jump to option A, but the fact is, if the project is unexpected, then the share price will be affected. If it's already announced or people know about it, then the share price has already embedded the impact of this project. So that makes B to be the correct option. Next, good one. Apple Industries, a firm with unlimited funds. Unlimited funds, that's interesting. Which firm has unlimited funds? Let's say, for the sake of question. Apple Industries, a firm with unlimited funds, is evaluating 5 projects. Project A, Project B, and they are independent projects. Project CD are mutually exclusive, which means we can take on A and B together, but out of these CD, we just need to take one only. The projects are listed with their rate of returns and net present value. Assume that the applicable discount rate is 10%. So as per IRR, looks good for all of these. But since we can just take on one of these projects and maybe 2 of these, rank the projects the firm should select. The firm should select A, it has positive NPV. Firm should also select B, it has a positive NPV. Independent, they can both be taken simultaneously. But for project CDE, only one can be taken. Since only one can be taken, select the one that gives you the highest NPV. So this is the best, C. So that makes A, B, 2 independent projects. Out of CDE, take C. So that makes A to be the correct option. Project A, B, C should be selected. That makes A to be the correct option. Moving on. Which of the following is the most appropriate decision rule for mutually exclusive projects? Accept the project with the highest net present value, subject to the condition that its net present value is greater than 0. Yes. When the mutually exclusive projects are involved, then NPV is the most suitable criteria. Select the project that has the highest NPV, that is greater than 0. Correct? Why not B? If the net present value method and the internal rate of return method give conflicting signals, select the project with the highest internal rate of return. Wrong. Whenever there is a conflict between IRR and NPV, we go with NPV. That's the condition for mutually exclusive projects. Except both the projects, we can't take on both. Why? Because they are mutually exclusive. Only one of them can be selected. So that makes A to be the correct option. And A it is. A single independent project with a negative net present value has an initial cost of 2.5 million, that is CFO, that is the cash flow at year 0, and would generate inflows 1 million in each of the next 3 years. The discount rate the company used in evaluating this project is closest to. Now this is interesting. We have been told that the NPV is negative. This is the initial investment. These are the cash flows, annual cash flows. We just need to estimate what was the discount rate. You go by the same methodology. Cash flow to year 0, negative 2.5, enter, down arrow key. You press 1 million, enter, down arrow key. Since the frequency of this cash flow is 3, you'll write 3, enter, down arrow key. And we can't calculate NPV. Why? Because we have not been given discount rate. We can't. What we can do, we can calculate IRR. At least that will give us some idea that what is the project's rate of return. Let us first do this and then we'll discuss what to do. Cash flow is 0, 2.5 million negative, enter, down arrow key. Then 1 million, enter, down arrow key. The frequency of this cash flow is 3, enter, down arrow key. And we need to calculate IRR. You press IRR and press CPT. It's 9.7. Now let's discuss. Our IRR is 9.7. So this project is generating a return of 9.7 at which NPV is 0. At IRR, NPV 0. Right. So if the discount rate is below, now this is a very interesting idea. Please just make sure you understand this concept. If your discount rate is greater than IRR, in that case, you have a negative NPV. If your discount rate is less than IRR, you will have a positive NPV. We just discussed a little while earlier. And if discount rate and internal rate of return, they're the same, NPV would be 0. So NPV will be 0 at 9.7. Since we have negative NPV means your discount rate would be greater than internal rate of return. Your internal rate of return is 9.7. So which of these numbers is greater than 9.7? Because it has to be, your discount rate will have to be higher than 9.7. So in that case, only this is the only option where the discount rate is higher than your internal rate of return. So this is your project's discount rate, which gave you negative NPV. That makes C to be the correct option. Which of the following types of capital budgeting projects are most likely to generate a little or no revenue? Regulatory projects, the projects of government, new product or market development, replacement projects to maintain the business. As you can see, the term itself suggests that regulatory projects mean these are the projects involving some environmental concerns, some safety related concerns. These projects typically generate very little revenue or mostly no revenue. Like populating a vacant land and growing an urban jungle. How will it generate very little cash flow? Of course, trees are not grown for selling timber, of course. So these are the projects that will generate very little or no revenue. So these are the projects that specifies or that fits the bill, little or no revenue, regulatory projects. The other two may generate some cash flows, but out of these, A is the best. All right, here we go. Again, a computational one. Edelman Engineering is considering including an pulley system in this year's capital budget. The cash outflow for the pulley system is 22,430. That's your initial outflow. The firm's cost of capital is 14%, used for discounting. The after-tax cash flows, including depreciation, are 7,500. Now, this is something very interesting, needs some debate. Cash flow should not involve any impact of, or it shouldn't include depreciation. After-tax cash flows, including depreciation, is a paradox. Two things that cannot exist simultaneously. Either it's an after-tax cash flow. If the depreciation is included or it is netted off in the income, it's not cash flow, it's net income. But if you read carefully, after-tax cash flows, including depreciation, if you remember your construction of cash flow from operating activities, you start with the net income and you add back some working capital changes, and to that you add depreciation, to that you add loss on disposal, to that you add discount, amortization, any equity-based loss, equity-based investment. So all known cash losses are added. So this after-tax cash flow has to include depreciation in order to convert your net income into cash flows. That is an important point to remember. So just take this number as it is. Otherwise, do not try to reinvent the wheel. He has given you after-tax cash flow. It means it is after-tax cash flow. Now, what do we need? We need to calculate NPV and IRR. Good question that requires you to do both computations side by side. Let us lay down our working. Cash flow at year 0 is 22,430. Then enter the down arrow key. 7,500 is the cash flow coming for the next 5 years. 7,500, enter down arrow key. The frequency of cash flow is 5. Enter down arrow key. First, you will calculate NPV. Even you can calculate IRR first. Press NPV key. The system will ask you to enter the discount rate, which is given as 14%. You enter 14. Enter down arrow key. Press CPT. This will return the net present value in dollar terms. Since we need the IRR as well, what you will do later, you will press IRR and then press CPT. You compute. That will give you the IRR as well. So let's plug in the numbers in the calculator. Cash flow at year 0 is 22,430. Negative. Enter down arrow key. 7,500. Enter down arrow key. The frequency of this cash flow is 5. Enter down arrow key. Now you press NPV. The system will ask you to input the discount rate, that is 14%. Enter down arrow key. Press CPT. The CPT is 3318, as you can see. Now we need the internal rate of return. Press IRR. Press CPT. It's 19.99. That is, of course, 20%. So that makes A to be the correct option. Next. Mason Webb makes the following statement to his boss, Lane DeWalt, French name probably, Lane DeWalt, about the principles of capital budgeting. She has made two statements, or he has made two statements. Statement 1. Opportunity costs are not true cash flows. This is true. Opportunity costs are not true cash flows. They are just hypothetical cash flows for decision-making purposes. So opportunity costs are not true cash flows. This statement till here is fine and should not be considered in capital budgeting analysis. No, this is wrong. Opportunity cost even doesn't result in any dollar outlay, but it's a relevant cost in decision-making. Decision-making without opportunity cost will bring you to a point where you make decisions based on an accountant's approach. We are not accountants, strictly speaking. In decision-making, we think like an economist. An economist considers opportunity cost of decision. So this is a wrong statement. Statement 2. Cash flows should be analyzed on an after-tax basis. That's a correct statement. So statement 1 I would disagree with, and statement 2 is fine. That makes C to be the correct option. Next. Which of the following statements about NPV and IRR are least accurate? Least accurate. When the IRR is equal to the cost of capital, the NPV is 0. This is accurate, exact. We have just discussed a little while earlier. The IRR can be positive even if the NPV is negative. Yes, there can be negative NPV. IRR is always positive. It's a percentage number expressed in digits. It's positive. True. That is possible. It's true. Accurate. The NPV will be positive if the IRR is less than the cost of capital. This is wrong. If your internal rate of return is less than the cost of capital, mean the project's return is less than the cost of capital, in this case, NPV would be negative, not positive. NPV would be negative. So this is the least accurate, in fact, the incorrect statement and our correct result, C. Next. Jack Smith CFA is analyzing independent investment projects. When the projects are independent, take them all as long as they have positive NPVs. So project X and project Y, Smith has calculated the net present value and the internal rate of return of each of these projects. Project X gives you positive NPV. Project X and Y, they give you 15 and 8% IRR respectively. Since they are independent and both of them are giving you positive NPV, and the decision criteria says go for it. Smith should make which of the following recommendations concerning the two projects? Take them on, both of them, except both projects. That makes A to be the correct option. Next. Project sequencing is best described as what? Project sequencing. Let me give you an FTC's example. We started off in 2011, a tiny institute with CMA. We gained skill. Previously, I had CIA way back in 2005. These complementary skills were translated into CMA. We made ourselves to be the most powerful CMA training institution in Pakistan with the highest number of CMAs, top scores. We use these skills later on to plug into CFA certification, and we are here to stay. We are going to dominate the CFA training in maybe 3 to 4 years. You will see. This is called project sequencing. Investment in a project today creates the opportunity to invest in another project in the future. What else can I give you as a better example? This is called project sequencing. If you invest in a certain project, this will create opportunity for you in the future. This is called project sequencing. Given with an example. B. Prioritizing funds to achieve and maximize value of shareholders given capital limitations. This is called project ranking. You have project A, project B, C. I want to make sure that these projects give you the highest NPV per dollar spent. This is project ranking. Sequencing means investing in some projects that might be translated into some more opportunities in new projects. So clearly not the right option. C. Arranging projects in an order such that the cash flows from the first project funds subsequent projects. This is funding, not sequencing. You are using like cash flow, like Microsoft Windows is a cash flow that generates cash, and then Microsoft uses that cash to invest in different projects. Purchasing Skype, buying Nokia, this is what they do. Generate cash from one project and use that cash to purchase another. But this is a total different ballgame altogether. That makes A to be the correct option. Next, the chief financial officer of a large closeout incorporated business determines that the firm must engage in capital rationing. What is capital rationing? When you have limited funds and you use those funds in a more efficient manner where every dollar spent maximizes your net present value. Right, so capital rationing for its capital budgeting projects. Which of the following describes the most likely reason for LCI to use capital rationing? LCI has limited amount of funds. Clearly, that's what capital rationing is used when the funds are limited, and we want to make sure, just like limiting factor analysis section D CMA part 1, when we have limited resource, how you use it in a way so as to maximize the net contribution generated per constraint. Same thing is for capital rationing. When the funds are limited, you want to invest the projects in such a way that every dollar spent maximizes your net present value per dollar. That's capital rationing. LCI would like to arrange projects so that investing in a project today provides the option to accept or reject certain future projects. This is called real option. Real option are options embedded in projects. I'm sure those who have read CMA Part 2, Section E, Investment Decision, there is a detailed topic on real options, also called the managerial options. These are decision points in a project. These are the flexible points in a project. Like, for example, we have straight project. At a certain point, we have embedded certain decision points where we might take a swing. So embedding options in your projects make it more valuable. A straight plain project with no options will have a lower NPV. If you have a project where you have embedded certain flexible points where you can make certain decisions, it can add value to the project. NPV will go up in most of the cases. These are called real options or managerial options. Valuing these options is discussed in derivatives, but not here. It will be discussed in CFA level 2 or 3 as we go along. Let's see. So that makes A to be the correct option. Next. A company is considering a $10,000 project that will last 5 years. This is your initial investment. This is the life of the project. Annual after-tax cash flows are expected to be $3,000. Right? For the next 5 years, the frequency is 5. Cost of capital is 9.7. What you need to do, calculate NPV. That's what we have been doing. Cash flow to year 0 is $10,000 negative. Enter down arrow key. 3,000 annual cash flows. Enter down arrow key. Since the frequency is 5, enter 5. Enter down arrow key. Press NPV. The system will require for the discount rate. Enter 9.7. Enter down arrow key. Press CPT, and there you go. You'll get your result. Let's do it. Here we go. CF at year 0, $10,000 negative. Enter down arrow key. $3,000. Enter down arrow key. The frequency is 5. Enter down arrow key. Press NPV. You need to enter the discount rate 9.7. 9.7. Enter down arrow key. Press CPT. It's 146 positive. So that makes B to be the correct option. B it is. Next. When a company is evaluating two mutually exclusive projects. Mutually exclusive means either or. When a company is evaluating two mutually exclusive projects, then that are both profitable but have conflicting NPV and IRR. We have discussed a little while earlier, when there's a conflict between NPV and IRR in two mutually exclusive projects, go with NPV. You should go with NPV. The company should do what? Accept the project with the higher net present value. There we go. There we go, and that's right. A is your correct option. Next. As the Director of Capital Budgeting of Denver Corporation, an analyst is evaluating two mutually exclusive projects with the following net present value. Project A, initial outflow, all the inflows. Project Z, initial outflow and the inflows. Conventional projects. If Denver cost of capital is 15%, which of the project should be chosen? Since mutually exclusive is either or, X or Y, not both. So what you will do, you will just lay down the working, or I can just do it directly to save time. Let's do it directly. Now let's input the data for project X. Initial outflow is $100,000 negative. Enter down arrow key. Then you have 50,000 inflow. You write 50,000. Since it's a single cash flow, you enter, press down arrow key and press down arrow key again. 40,000. Enter, down arrow key twice. 30,000. Enter, down arrow key twice. 10,000. Enter, down arrow key twice. Then what you do, you press NPV, enter the discount rate that has been given 15%, 15, enter, down arrow key, press CPT, and here we go. NPV is negative. It's negative 832.9. For project X, it's negative 832.97. Let's do the same for project Z. Starting with initial cash flow at year 0, $1,000, $100,000 negative, enter, down arrow key. Then you have $10,000, enter, down arrow key once and again second because it's a single cash flow. Enter 30,000, enter, down arrow key twice, enter 40,000, enter, down arrow key twice, enter 60,000, enter, down arrow key twice. Now what you need to do, press NPV. You need to enter the discount rate 15, enter, down arrow key, press CPT. It's negative 8014. It's giving you negative NPV as well. Both of these projects are generating negative net present values. So neither the project, neither A, neither X nor Z, A is the correct option. Next, in a net present value profile, the internal rate of return is represented as what? This is net present NPV profile, positive NPV, negative NPV, and on this horizontal line we have discount rates. A certain project has an NPV profile like this, indicating that if the discount rate is 0, this is the NPV. As we keep on increasing the discount rate, NPV falls progressively till the point it falls to this horizontal line where the NPV is 0, and this is the rate. This is the discount rate at which the NPV is 0, and this is called internal rate of return. So in net present value profile, the internal rate of return is represented as what? The intersection of the NPV profile with the horizontal axis. Correct. Look no further. That makes A to be the correct option. Question 48. The Seattle Corporation has been presented with an investment opportunity which will yield cash flows of 30,000 per year in year 1 through year 4. This is your cash flow for the first 4 years. 35,000 per year in the year 5 to 3 year 9. Right, and then 40,000 in the 10th year. How much cash do we need to recover? This is your initial investment. This investment will cost the firm 150,000 today's term, and the firm's cost of capital is 10,000. So what you will do, you will write $150,000. You will receive 4 inflows of 30,000 in year 1, in year 2, and year 3, and year 4. So this will give you a total of 120. So it means you still have to recover the remaining $30,000, and this $30,000 will come from the next year's 35. So 4 years are there. The next fractional part of the 5th year can be calculated by dividing 30,000 with 35,000. This fractional part would be, let me calculate this one, 30 upon 35, that gives me 0.856. 0.856, the fractional part of the 5th year. So it's 0.856, if rounded off, gives me 4.86, and that perfectly matches with your option B. And B it is. Next, theoretical. The NPV profile is a graphical representation of the change in the net present value relative to the change in the what? The discount rate. NPV positive, negative. On horizontal line we have different discount rates, and that's how we show the NPV profile of certain project. This is the rate at which the NPV is 0. This is IRR. So what do we take on the x-axis? Internal rate of return. Internal rate of return is one of the rates where these profile and the x-axis, they cut each other. Yes, what we have on the horizontal axis, we have different discount rates starting from 0 onwards to as high as it may be. Prime rate is the rate at which the banking institutions lends money to their most credit-worthy customers or fund seekers. This is not the point what we're discussing. So that makes B to be the correct option. Next, if 2 projects are mutually exclusive, means only one can be taken, A company must accept both projects. We can't take on both. Mutually exclusive means only one can be taken. Can accept one of the projects, both projects, or neither. One of the projects fine, but not both. Rejected. Can accept either project, but not both. Perfect description of mutually exclusive project. That makes C to be the correct option. Next. A financial manager at Johnson & Smith estimates that its required rate of return is 11%. That's your required rate of return. Which of the following independent projects would Johnson & Smith accept? Project X requires an upfront expenditure of 1 million and generates a net present value of negative 46. Rejected. This generates less than 11%. B. Project Y requires an upfront expenditure of $800,000 and generates an internal rate of return of 10.5. Having a rate of return less than the discount rate will mean negative NPV, which was the case here. Rejected. Project Z requires an upfront expenditure of $600,000 and generates an internal rate of return 12%. This IRR is higher than 11%, so the NPV for this project would be positive. So that makes C to be the correct option. Moving on to the next question involving some computation. Is it? A company is considering the purchase of a copier that cost $5,000 now. It's an initial outflow. Assume the cost of capital of 10% and the following cash flows year 1, 2, and 3. Determine the project's payback period and the discounted payback period. Now, what we will do? We need to recover $5,000, negative $5,000 on your calculator, conventional calculator. To this add $3,000, the first year cash flow. Still $2,000 to be recovered. The amount is fully recovered in the first 2 years. 3 plus 2, 5, fully recovered. That's make B or C. Do not go for discounting. No need to. No need to. Why? Because we know conventional payback period is shorter. When we discount the cash flows and calculate the discounted payback would be higher, 2.4. Payback, if it is 2, the discounted payback would be more than 2. Because discounted payback is a more conservative tool for project evaluation. So that makes C to be the correct option. No computation needed. He has done it, but using common sense would dictate that you don't need such computations. Moving on to the next question, number 53. Which of the following statements about the internal rate of return and net present value is least accurate? Least accurate. The discount rate that causes the project NPV to be equal to 0 is the project IRR. It's true. For mutually exclusive projects, if the NPV ranking and IRR ranking give conflicting signals, you should select the one with the higher IRR. Wrong. The IRR is the discount rate that operates or that equates the present value of the cash inflows with the present value outflows. That is a true statement. That's a true statement as well. IRR is the discount rate at which the present value of inflows and outflows are equal, or they are equated, or they become equal. So that makes only B to be the incorrect option, and we were looking for the least accurate, so that makes B to be our right answer. Moving on, we're just at the tail of this topic. The estimated annual after-tax cash flows of a proposed investment are shown below. Year 1, 2, 3. After-tax cash flow from the sale of investment at the end of year 3 is 120. This is a good question. This is the one of its kind so far in all the previous 53 one. This one is a good one. Why? Because we have two different inflows in year 3. 18,000 is the conventional regular inflow, and this 120,000 involves the sale of investment or the disposal at the end of year 3. So please, gentlemen, attention. Initial investment was $100,000 and the required rate of return is 12. NPV is to be calculated. What you will do, our conventional way of doing it, cash flow to year 0 is $100,000 negative. Enter down arrow key once. Then this $10,000, enter, since a single payment, enter the down arrow key twice. Then you have $15,000, gentlemen, attention. Enter down arrow key twice. Now this is the interesting one. We have two cash flows coming in year 3. Don't take them separately. You need to combine them. 18,000 coming at the end of year 3, 120,000 coming at the end of year 3 again. So it's a total inflow of 138. Do not treat them separately in financial calculator. You will mess things up. Once entered, press NPV, enter the discount rate that is given as 12%, press CPT, and there we go. We'll get your net present value. Let's do it. So initial cash flow at year 0, $100,000 negative, it's an outflow. Enter down arrow key. Then $10,000 is a single cash flow in year 1. Enter down arrow key twice. 15,000. enter down arrow key twice, and then we have 138,000 inflow. At the end of year 3, enter down arrow key twice. Now need to press NPV sign, give the discount rate, that is 12%, enter down arrow key, press CPT, and there we go. 19,112.15, and that is closest to option B. And that's your correct answer. B it is. Which of the following statements about NPV and IRR is least accurate? The NPV method assumes that all cash flows are reinvested at the cost of capital. It's a true statement. For mutually exclusive projects, you should use the IRR to rank the selected projects. When the projects are mutually exclusive, go for NPV. That we have already agreed with. For independent projects, if the IRR is greater than the cost of capital, this is true as well. Independent project, if IRR is greater than cost of capital, NPV would be positive. So we were looking for the one that is least accurate. That is B. Next. Which of the following statements about independent projects is least accurate? The net present value indicates how much the value of the firm will change if the project is accepted. True. It's a true statement. The internal rate of return and net present value methods can yield different accept-reject decisions for independent projects. Wrong. For independent projects, they give the same accept-reject decision. It's only the mutually exclusive projects where they are in opposite side. If the internal rate of return is less than the cost of capital, in that case, NPV would be negative. So reject that project. It's true. A is true, C is true, B is not true, and that's why it's our result. Next. A company is considering two mutually exclusive investments projects. The firm's cost of capital is 12%. Each project costs 7 million, and the after-tax cash flows for each are shown below. Project 1 and 2, both cash flows are given. These are consistent cash flows. These are different. Indicate which project should be accepted and whether the IRR and NPV method would lead to the same decision. Now, gentlemen, this is a typical case study for you. So far, we have been debating with the idea that mutually exclusive projects would result in a divergent decision between the NPV and IRR. Is it so? Is it so? Let us see. These are mutually exclusive projects. Let us see what IRR and NPV do with this project. It's a wonderful question. Last but not the least. All right, first entering the data regarding project 1. Initial outflow is 7 million. Cash flow year 07, negative. Enter, down arrow key. Then these are the three cash flows. 6.6, enter, down arrow key twice because a single cash flow. 1.5 million, enter, down arrow key twice, and then 0.1 million, enter, down arrow key twice. Now what I will do, I will press NPV. The discount rate given is, let me see. Discount rate given is 12%. You enter 1, 2, enter, down arrow key, press CPT. The NPV is 0.1598. Let me write it down. NPV for this project, let us write it down first. This is your project 1 and project 2, NPV and IRR. Now it's a classic question that will help you understand some key concept. So NPV for project 1 is 0.1598. Let's do the same for project 2. Now if you press IRR, CPT is 14.15. IRR for project 1 is 14.15. 14.15%. For second project, initial investment is again 7 million. Enter, down arrow key. Then we have 3 million inflows. Enter. And they are occurring 3 times. So frequency is 3. Enter, down arrow key. Press NPV. Press the discount rate. Enter, down arrow key. Press NPV. It's 0.2055. NPV is 0.2055. Now if you calculate the IRR as well, for that you just simply press IRR and CPT. It's 13.7. 13.7. Now this is an interesting scenario where you can verify what we have done so far. If you go for NPV, the second project looks good. And if you go for IRR, the first project looks good. This is what you call the problem of mutually exclusive projects. In mutually exclusive projects, NPV and IRR, they point to different directions. And if such a situation arises, you should go for NPV because it's a superior method. So what is the result now? We have to give the result despite the conclusion drawn. Indicate which project should be accepted. Project 2. Why? Because it has a higher NPV. Are IRR and NPV on the same page? Maafi, they are not on the same page. That makes B to be the correct option. And B it is. Next. Question 58. Pollington Aircraft Company just announced a sale of 30 aircrafts to Cuba, one of the only few countries that have still the planned economic system. Cuba, North Korea. A project with a net present value of $10 million. Pollington Aircraft Company. Investors did not anticipate the sale because it was unanticipated. So when this information is relayed to the market, the share price would go up. Investor didn't anticipate the sale because the government approval to sell to Cuba, which is considered as a hostile country, just like North Korea, had never before been granted. This has never happened before, something that was unexpected. So this will surely push the share price up. The share price of Pollington should increase by the project NV divided by the number of common shares outstanding. Let's say there are 5 million shares outstanding, 10 million is the NPV, 5 million are the share outstanding. So the share is expected to go up by $2. That's the right answer. We should go on, but let's discuss why not B or D or C. B, not necessarily change because the new contract announcements are made all the time. Yes, new announcements are made all the time, but not to Cuba. Cuban Missile Crisis, I'm sure you would have read the history. It was one of the staunchest opponents of America way back in the Russian Cold War. So this is not true. B is not right. Yes, announcements are made all the time, but not the sale to Cuba. Increase by the NPV into 1 minus corporate tax rate. We don't need to bring NPV after tax. NPV is already after tax. This is not the right statement. So that makes A to be our right answer. Next. Should a company accept a project that has an IRR of 14% and NPV of 2.8 if the cost of capital is 12%? Yes, why not? IRR is more than the discount rate, and that's why NPV is positive. You should go for it. Both NPV and IRR are pointing towards acceptance of the project. Yes, based on the NPV and IRR, you should go for the project. Next. The internal rate of return method and the net present value method of the project selection will always provide the same accept reject decisions when the projects are independent. Look no further. That makes B to be the correct option. 61. Which of the following projects would most likely have multiple internal rates of returns? The cost of capital for all projects is 10%. Multiple internal rate of returns would be calculator would arise in case when the cash flows are unconventional. Unconventional cash flow is changing directions, but not for east or west, only for south. So the projects, south related projects, have unconventional cash flows. So here you will have a multiple IRR problems. That makes B to be the correct option. Last question, but again not the least, there are some computations involved. The financial manager at Genesis Company is looking into the purchase of an apartment complex for $550. Cash flow at year 0. Negative $550. Enter down arrow key. Net after-tax cash flows are expected to be $65,000 for each of the next 5 years. $65,000. Enter down arrow key. Frequency is 5. Enter down arrow key. Net after-tax cash flows are expected to be $65,000 for each of the next 5 years, then drop to $50,000 for the next 4 years. $50,000, enter down arrow key, 4, enter down arrow key. Okay, now some adjustments. Genesis required rate of return is 8%. That's the rate we'll use for discounting. on the project of this nature, after 9 years, Genesis Company expects to sell the property for after-tax proceeds of $300,000. Now, this changes things altogether. What would be the change? Since this 300,000 would be received at the end of the project together with the 50,000, so what we will do, we will reduce the frequency to 3, take one of the 50 and add it up in 300. So writing it up to 350. That's an important point, gentlemen. Ladies, remember, I have taken one of the 50s out of these 4 years cash flows and added up with this 300,000, resultantly giving you a single cash flow at the end of the project, or the terminal cash flows. Enter down arrow key and again down arrow key twice, because the single cash flow coming at the end of the project called terminal cash flows. What you will do then, press NPV key, press the discount rate that I believe was 9%. Enter down arrow key, press CPT, and there you go. Let's do it. 550 initial cash flows, negative, enter down arrow key. $65,000, enter down arrow key, frequency is 5, enter down arrow key. Then $50,000, $50,000, enter down arrow key, frequency is 3, you press 3, enter down arrow key. Then the terminal cash flows $350,000, positive, enter and down arrow key twice. Press NPV, you need to enter the discount rate 9, enter down arrow key, press CPT, and there you go. NPV is negative 53,765. What about the IRR? Press IRR, CPT, 7.015. There we go. B is the right answer, and B it is.